Hey everyone, today we're answering the question, what does God say about heaven? I think what's helpful for me when I think about heaven is an illustration that I've heard from other people, and maybe you've heard me use this before. The illustration says, when God describes heaven to us, it's like if you were trying to describe ice cream to someone who had only ever had oatmeal. So if you're trying to do that, you would say, well, ice cream is sweet. And they would say, what is sweet? And you would say, well, it's a really good flavor. And they would say, what is flavor? And then you would say, well, it's nice and cold and refreshing. And they would say, what are those things? And ultimately, what you would end up saying is you would say, well, ice cream rather, is like the best bowl of oatmeal that you've ever had, which really sells ice cream short, right? But it's all that you could do to explain it. And so this is God trying to describe heaven to us. Heaven is a perfect place, and he's trying to describe it to people who have only ever lived in a place that is not perfect. We have a very hard time understanding it. And so what God ends up doing is he will say things like, well, heaven is like the best meal that you've ever had, only a million times better. Or it's like the most beautiful city that you've ever seen, only way better. Or it's like a large mansion, the biggest house you could think of, only way better. He uses all these pictures of good things on earth, and he says heaven is even better than that. And it's hard for us to understand it. But here today, let's think of 3 blessings that we will have in heaven. These come from a church father named Augustine, who talks about these 3 kind of levels of heaven, levels of enjoyment in heaven. The first blessing of heaven is that in heaven we will no longer suffer pain or sadness or loneliness or any other of these bad things on earth. Revelation 21 verse 4 is talking about heaven, and there it says, there will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. Right? And on top of this, there's no more sin in heaven, no more temptation. So anything that is bad on earth, heaven will be free of those things. The next good thing about heaven, the next level, is that in heaven we will get to be united with our fellow believers who have gone before us. Fellow Christians who have died, we will get to see them again in heaven. Sometimes people wonder, will we recognize each other in heaven? And there's really no reason to say that we would not recognize people. When we see in the Bible people having a glimpse of someone after death, they always recognize them. So at the Transfiguration, Peter, James, and John see 2 men standing next to Jesus, and they recognize that these 2 men are Moses and Elijah. They've never seen them before, but they recognize them. After Jesus rose from the dead, people recognized him. So we have really many reasons to believe that in heaven we will recognize the loved ones that have gone before us. And I think not even will we recognize our loved ones, but we might just recognize everybody that is in heaven. And so then that leads us to the third blessing of heaven, the best thing, the highest level of goodness in heaven, is that when we are in heaven, we will see God face to face. Now, this is what Job was looking forward to. In the midst of his suffering and all of his pain on earth, he said, yet I know that because my Redeemer lives, I will see God with my own eyes, how my heart yearns within me. Right? And this is the best part about heaven, that we, here on earth, we can't see God, but in heaven we will see him face to face, the one who loves us more than we can possibly understand. We will experience that love truly and really in a very real kind of way. So all these things about heaven, right? So you say, well, will there be pets in heaven? Will there be animals in heaven? Will there be food in heaven? Will there be this or that? Will we be sad if our loved ones aren't in heaven with us? Will we be bored in heaven? Finally, the answer to all those questions is God knows how to make us happy, and he knows better than we do how to make us happy. And in heaven, he promises that he will make us very, very happy, that it will be perfect and full of joy. And so how do we think about heaven? Well, with the Apostle Paul, we look forward to heaven and we say that is our home. Paul, in the book of Philippians, is facing death. He thinks that he might be executed. And he's having this kind of struggle where he says, should I look forward? Should I hope that I die? Should I hope that I live? And he says, it would be great if I continue to live. But he says, what would even be better is if I go to heaven. In fact, he says that would be better by far. And this is our goal as Christians. This is what we are looking forward to. This is what we have in front of us. It's our salvation, life with Jesus forever in heaven. That's how heaven is most often described in the Bible. It's life, right? It's life. It's everything that means. There's no death. It's just life, and life as God intended it to be, perfect life with Him. And the more that we keep this picture in front of our minds of the eternal blessings that are coming to us, well, the better off we'll be. We'll have peace, we'll have joy, we'll have hope, and we'll be better citizens, we'll be better family members, we'll be better friends here on earth. We'll live our lives as Christians, knowing that we have this hope ahead of us in heaven. So I hope that answers some of your questions about heaven. If you have ideas for other topics that you'd like to see, please shoot me an email or talk to me, and we'll get that done. Thank you, and God give you peace.